Welcome. Welcome to Candid Creoles, where we elevate and celebrate Haitian excellence and friends, one candid conversation at a time. Today, we have the pleasure to host Sarah Duval, and that's part of our Emerging Leader segment. Welcome, Sarah.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Sarah is a Haitian American and emerging leader, and she is originally from Florida. In 2020, Sarah graduated cum laude from the American University School of Public Affairs with a Bachelor's of Art in Interdisciplinary Studies, Communication, Legal Institution, Economics, and Government, and a minor in Spanish Studies. Sarah lives in DC, where she works as an editorial associate at Giffords, a gun violence prevention nonprofit led by former Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Thanks, you as well.
How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. Nice day in DC, can't complain.
Yes, nice day in DC. And you're from Florida and you're living in DC. How are you coping with the cold and winter?
Oh my gosh, winters are the worst. I just pray and pray for spring and summer every year.
Well, I know, like it's such a drastic change, right? Born and raised in Florida. So when you went to school to study your bachelor's of arts in interdisciplinary studies, what influenced you to go that route?
Yeah, so I had always been interested in politics from like a very young age. I think my parents definitely got me into that. My mom was always really excited about electoral politics. She took me to an Obama rally in 2008. And then my dad was, is to this day still very passionate about activism and social issues. And U.S. and Caribbean politics as well. So that's kind of what got me interested in politics. And then when I was applying to American University, which was like one of my top choice schools, they had this program, which was my major, which was a school specific major, communications, law, economics, and government. And I was like, okay, that sounds like an intersection of a lot of the things that I'm interested in. So that's why when I got accepted, I chose to do that degree program.
Okay. And then that led you to the job you have today.
Definitely. Yeah. So like going to school in DC, like I always encourage people to go to school in DC if they're interested in politics and social advocacy, because there's so many opportunities for internships. Okay. And while I was here, I got the opportunity to intern with Giffords in my sophomore year at American and had a great experience there. I was interested in the issue of gun violence prevention, being from South Florida, going to high school near where the Parkland shooting had happened. Yeah. Gun violence was something that was like near and dear to me. So I was super excited when I got the chance to intern there. And then little would I know, 3 years later, I would end up working there. And here I am now in a different capacity than from when I was an intern. Like you mentioned, I'm an editorial associate. But yeah, so currently with the organization. So yeah, little steps that you take can definitely lead you to a career path or an opportunity that you had no idea you would enter into.
That is true. You never know what's happening today, what that means for you tomorrow. And then so the internship now led to you holding a position, and in that, and I with Gifford, sorry. And I noticed that there are three distinct section on Gifford. Which one at Giffords, I must say, which one are you working at?
Yeah, so the organizations merged a few years ago. So they're separate entities, like in terms of their operations. So there's a law center that does like litigation and legal research. There's the PAC, which does like political advocacy and like helping people get elected. And there's the 501c3, which is the nonprofit side. And because I'm part of the communications team works like across the organization. Prior to the merger, there were separate communication teams for like each entity. But yeah, now our communications team just works across the org, 3 entities.
Got it. You sound very passionate about your work.
I am.
Yeah, I can imagine, because I remember the Parkland shooting as if it were yesterday as well.
Yeah.
So that was, we even went to one of the rally, me and my sons.
Yay,
Yeah.
that's awesome. The March for Our Lives.
Yeah, we did go because it was so sad, and my kids were in school at the time, so you all concerned about what's all the shootings happening in school. That is a concern to every parent. Yeah,
totally.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I get that. So so what's your favorite thing about what you do at work?
Ooh, I would say just the ability to be creative and just like allow like my creativity to guide my work. So I'm given a lot of freedom in my role to sort of write about issues that I'm passionate about, or, suggest research topics that I'm passionate about. So for example, I'm interested in the intersection of gun violence and police violence. So police shootings, and, intervening against that so that, people aren't being killed in the streets by law enforcement or by, other people. So because I have that interest, I've been able to write blogs that go onto our website relating to that issue. I've also been able to write about like issues pertaining to like Black Americans. So when I first started, one of the first pieces I wrote was about like the history of Black gun ownership in the US. And what that has looked like, and how Black Americans haven't been entitled to the same Second Amendment freedoms that white Americans have. So yeah, that's one thing I really like about my job, is just like the ability to explore topics through writing that interest me.
That's great. So it's and that keeps you busy at doing research, obviously, and so if you are giving the opportunity to write blogs, so if I want to read your blogs, where do I go?
Yeah, so if you go to the Giffords website, giffords.org, then the news section, and then there you'll see like all of our written materials, like press releases, blogs, etc. But you can toggle down and just click blogs, and then you can see all the blogs that we publish.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to look you up. I'm looking on the site right now. That's why I'm looking at it on the screen. Yeah, I'm definitely. So when and you work from home currently, right?
Yeah, so I've only ever worked from home in this position. So I started in January, so I've been totally remote since I started.
Okay. And is that going to change with COVID ending? Well, we hope it's ending.
Yes. So I'm only in this job for 2 more weeks before I start my fellowship, my Fulbright scholarship. But yeah, I do anticipate that the organization and lots of other organizations will go back to being in person.
Yeah. So you took a minor in Spanish studies. Why Spanish?
Yeah, so I've always loved languages, Spanish in particular. So I started studying Spanish when I was in the 7th grade, and then continued like halfway through high school. And then when I got to college, I was just like trying to think about what I wanted to minor in. And I floated like a lot of different topics like history, women's studies, like other areas that I was interested in. And then I landed on Spanish because I've always loved the language and thought it would be, a practical skill to learn. So I decided to take on a Spanish studies minor, and was able to take, like, in addition to just the language classes, like translation classes, and then classes on just like culture and history, which was nice as well.
So you studied in 7th grade, right?
I started in 7th grade.
Are you fluent?
I would like to say I am. Every day, gaining new vocabulary and like strengthening my skills, but I can get by pretty well, like with my Spanish.
That's awesome. That's great. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's awesome. And that actually this that section of your life, actually of your studies, I must say, is leading you toward an exciting new adventure. So tell us about that.
Yeah, so I will be beginning a Fulbright grant in September to be an English teaching assistant in Madrid, Spain. I am not sure what subject I'll be teaching at. I haven't been assigned by my school, but I will be in a high school assisting with their bilingual program.
That's great. Have you ever been to Spain before?
Yeah, so in 2019, I studied abroad in Madrid for 3 months.
Okay. So you'll be a little bit familiar with the area.
A little bit familiar. I have, my host mom, former coworkers from my internship, a small community I can fall
Are you
back
going
on.
back to the same host mom?
Oh, no. So I'll be living in an apartment, but my host mom is still in the city.
Okay, so you're still in contact with them.
Yes.
Okay, so you'll have somebody that you know already in Madrid.
Right.
That's
right.
really nice. And when do you leave?
I leave the 1st of September.
Ah, okay. And how long are you going to be there for?
I will be there for 9 months.
For 9 months. Do you intend to move back?
Yes, definitely. Still thinking about like what my next move will be like in terms of grad school or, future employment. So yeah, it's totally up in the air.
It's totally up in the air. That's what I was thinking because very often we move to a place for a few months and we end up staying there.
Right.
So that's why I was asking. So, and then my next question was about grad school. So when are you going back for grad school?
Yeah, so really not sure yet. Still trying to nail down exactly what I want to go to grad school for.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm interested in public policy programs. I did like pre-graduate fellowship in public policy last summer. It's called the Public Policy International Affairs Fellowship.
Mm-hmm.
And that really sparked my interest in like getting a degree, a master's in public policy. But now that I'm like going into teaching for the next academic year, I've also thought about a master's in education. So yeah, really going to be leaning on this next year to sort of, figure out where exactly my interests lie. And then once I have that down, then I'll probably start applying to some grad programs.
Yeah. And that's going to be the first time you're going to be teaching as an assistant, right?
Yeah. So this will be my first time like full-time in a classroom. I've been like a teaching assistant in college and have like worked with kids in the past, but like being full-time in a classroom, I've never done that. Yeah. So this will be a first.
And how was it when you were working with kids before? Did you like it?
I loved it. Yeah. So I've worked with kids like for, since I was like a preteen, like volunteering at church. Yeah, mostly church, honestly. Volunteering like with my church's summer camp as well was like my first experience like working with kids. And then when I was in Madrid too, I interned at an organization that does like an after school program with youth in a part of Madrid. And that was another chance I got to really just like work with youth.
Okay. So you have the experience of working with youth already. So that's going to be helpful for you as well. That's fine. That's great. And so when you said you're not sure yet what you're going to take when you go back to grad school. So it's a definite you're going to grad school.
Yes, unless I land some super awesome job where I can like continue ascending the ranks without a master's degree, then yeah, probably
then things you'll have to review those plans.
Oh yes.
That makes sense. So so are you excited about going to Spain?
Yeah, so excited because it's the first week of August, so I'm basically a month out.
Yeah.
But yeah, just preparing for the new life that I'm going to be having in the next couple months.
Yeah, because it's only a few weeks. In a few weeks, you're leaving. And it's going to be amazing that the fact that you already have the Spanish foundation, so it's going to definitely be helpful, and it's going to even perfect your language more.
Yeah, I'm so excited about that.
That's to be able to immersion. Like,
yeah. I've wanted, like, since studying abroad, I've been wanting that full immersion so badly. So really looking forward to it.
That's great. Do you intend to study any other languages after that?
Yeah, actually, I want to study Creole and become fluent. So that's definitely pretty high on my list. And then I also want to try to learn another Romance language. So maybe Portuguese or Italian.
You don't speak Creole at all?
I understand it. I can't read it. I can't write it. But so I'd like to, have a firm grasp.
Okay, so if I say something to you in Creole, you will understand, but you can't respond back.
I wouldn't put myself to the test.
And if I tell you sac passe, like everybody tells the every American
napule.
person says sac passe, right?
Yes.
That you know what to answer.
Comment ça va? Ça va bien?
Okay. Comment ça va? It's French. So you speak French as well?
No, I don't.
Okay, but you hear it at home. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Got it. Yeah. So that's good. So my son was actually saying that the other day. He was saying he's interested to take Creole when he goes to college in a few weeks for his foreign language. I was surprised. I said, "Oh, that's really cool." Yeah, because it's being taught. Awesome. Yeah, it's being taught at his school. So that's really nice that they're doing that. So that's
I'm envious.
Awesome.
I'm envious that that's a language at his school, a language offered.
Yeah, when you went to college, when you were in college, did they offer Creole?
No,
not every college offers that.
No, not at all. Yeah, it was basically just like the main languages, like Spanish, German, Italian. French, Italian, like Chinese, those types of languages.
Yeah, the most well known.
Yeah.
Got it. Well, I know you're part of the group, right? The Celebration of Asian Excellence. I know you're not on Facebook a lot, and you are a member of the private group that we have, right?
I believe so, but yeah, as you're right, I'm not on Facebook a whole time.
Yes, so you probably don't even know anything about the group, because I know you're part of the group because I added you, but I don't think you are. You're not active on Facebook, so that's fine. And so what I like to ask, but before I go there, so where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years?
Ooh, great question. Hopefully in a career that I feel like aligns with my values. So I don't want to be working for the purpose of like making a company profit or, contributing to like environmental destruction or like working a job that exploits people. So wherever I am, like in my career path, like I hope to be like helping others, helping the earth, and just like positively contributing to society. So that might be in a classroom, that might be, in the fields of social advocacy and nonprofit, which I've been working in for the last couple of years. So, still figuring out exactly where, my path will lead me, but I know those things for sure.
So you definitely want what's a position that will lead you to make a difference for the world. Definitely. And then you meant, and that's what you meant by aligning with your values. And what are your top 3 values?
Ooh, that's a great question. I would say like equality for sure. I'm not a huge fan of like super hierarchical groups or organizations. I like to be in spaces where all voices are equal and elevated. I would also say like justice, people receiving what they are owed, people being like properly treated and like, handled with, justice. I would say another value of mine would be, I guess just like equal access in addition to like social equality, just like equal access to resources and opportunities. Yes.
Well, you're definitely on the right path.
Thank you.
So to go back to the group that the reason I studied the group was to really change the narrative the world has about Haiti. And the intention was that's the intention of the group. And I said, we're going to start with us, among us first, because we have to look, if the world can think that way about us, we have to first look in the mirror and then see what are we saying about each other, what are we saying about our Haiti that we all say we love so much, whether we live there or not, whether we Haitian people of Haitian descent or not. What are we saying? So let's change the narrative amongst us first by getting to know each other, by celebrating each other, and the world will follow. Somehow the universe will take care of that. So that's the whole purpose of the group.
Yes,
So
I love that mission.
So it's so the question is, I always ask people is knowing what we're here for and what we're doing. I don't know what you're not familiar with Facebook because you're not really active on Facebook. What can we do to grow and then spread the message?
I would say, I'm not sure if you all are on like other social media platforms, but if you're looking to engage young people, I would say like branching out to Instagram is definitely a good idea. And if you have like tech savvy people like on your social media team, or people who are like TikTok savvy, TikTok might even be an option. And yeah, and then also we're both from Florida, large Haitian community there, but now that things are opening up, like in-person events as well, I'm sure would be like widely attended. So yeah, I think those would be some good ways to engage more people.
Yeah, that's great. It's I don't have a large team helping me. I have it's mostly me. I do have people helping me in the background, but it's mostly me doing a lot of this. So we are on Instagram, but not as I would want to, because it takes time. Right. And we just started a YouTube channel, and actually the YouTube channel is like, I know on YouTube you also will have a different what would I say, a different group of people, because some people don't go on social media, but they might look at a YouTube video. And and then we're on Facebook, but it's just like the time to do all of that. And TikTok, I'm not familiar with, so I'm not even venturing there. I would need an emerging leader to say, okay, I'm going to volunteer like 1 hour a week or 1 hour every month, whatever it may be, to help you with TikTok. And those who are listening, I'm always looking for volunteers. Yes. And so this is because this is something I'm doing really on my own time. So it's a great idea. Yeah. Expanding. And on Instagram, what somebody was telling me is to start doing reels. And I know the reels are getting you more activities. It's just like the time. Yes. And I was focusing also more on growing the Facebook group instead of growing other social media channels. But when I have conversation like I'm having with you now on Candid Creole, this segment is called Candid Creoles. It's most people want to share the video, the conversation we have. And because it's on a private Facebook group, you cannot share it. So because Facebook will block it. I mean, even if you try to share it, I've seen people share, but nobody will see it. Facebook blocks it from being seen. So that's why I said, okay, then I have to go out of this group because people are asking, they want their videos to be seen. And I understand, I appreciate that. So that's why I started to do the other group. And then I'm trying to figure out which one do I focus first. So I started with Instagram, and then I started on YouTube, although the YouTube really was because I was forced into going to YouTube. I couldn't upload a video once, and only YouTube will accept the video. And it was time for me to post it. I post everything every Thursday. And sometimes we have live conversation. Ours is not live, it's pre-recorded. It will be posted on a Thursday, not sure when exactly. So when I was posting a video on a Thursday, and that video could not upload. So that was a challenge. So I did it on YouTube, and then YouTube, it took time, but it did upload on YouTube. So I appreciate that. Yeah, definitely. Those are things that I have considered, except for TikTok, because it's the learning curve on TikTok. It's like adding one thing to my plate. It's going to be a little bit too much for me.
I
So
get
that's
that. I
good.
get that.
Yeah, that's good. So, and I wanted to ask you, what do you do for fun?
Ooh, great question. So I love going out to restaurants in DC, especially brunch. So my friends and I, like brunch is like a huge part of like DC culture. So my friends and I love trying out like different brunch spots, some that have like bottomless mimosas or like bottomless plates are always fun. And then I'm also like outdoorsy, even though I live in the city. So whenever I can, I'll like go on walks or hikes, or try to like venture out into Virginia, which has like more outdoorsy things to do. And then also just like art when I can. So like watercoloring or like painting. Yeah,
So
those are some of
you
the
do
things.
art.
Yes, not well, I would say. It's more so like therapeutic, like for myself, not
Uh-huh.
really to be like, I'm an artist and like, share everywhere. But yeah, I
Just for
do sometimes
fun.
do art just for fun.
What got you into art?
Just like how like relieving it can be to just like take to a canvas and like create whatever you want, and just like put your ideas onto, paper.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting. So, and have you been to Haiti?
I have. I went in 2014.
How was it?
It was beautiful. So I went and stayed at my grandmother's house, my paternal grandmother's house in Pétionville, and went with like basically like the majority of my dad's side of the family, which was a lot of fun. And then we drove up the mountain, like going in the direction of Kenskoff,
Hmm.
from Pétionville. And then we also went to the beach. I forget which beach we went to, but it was beautiful. We had like seafood on the beach. But yeah, I think we went for like
Is
probably a
that
little bit less than
lambi?
a week. Yes, we had
Lambi.
lambi on the beach. Yes, yes, yes.
So did
But
you
other
eat?
seafood too.
Did
Sorry.
you have lambi boucané? You don't know what that is.
Um,
That's
I
how they
don't think
make
so.
when they sell it. When they sell it at the, I never had it, but I remember when I was there, when you get it at the beach, that's how they cook it. The lambi boucané. You didn't have
I don't
any.
think I know it. Yeah, I don't think I am familiar. It was like, I think it was in sauce. It was a very long time ago, so I'm not
Okay,
sure, but
but you
yeah.
had fun.
Yes, I had fun. I wish I could have, spent like a longer time there and have gone back more, but just that experience, like I'm blessed to have gone. I know a lot of like second generation or first generation Americans, second generation Haitians who have never been. So I feel lucky to have visited.
Yeah, that's really good. That's really good that you had the chance to go. Definitely, definitely, because so many of us didn't could have not been able to take our children, and
Right.
we would love to. So that's very good. And what advice? Well, let me rephrase that. First, I'm going to ask you two questions.
Mhm.
And those two questions, if you could give one word answer,
Okay.
okay? And how would you describe your life?
Ooh, multifaceted.
Multifaceted. Okay, that sounds interesting. And how would you describe Haiti? You've been there. That's really good that you've been there.
Ooh. Powerful.
Powerful. Okay. And advice that you have for Haitians?
Um, be proud of who you are. If you're a Haitian American, center the voices of Haitians on the island. If you're living in the diaspora, don't think that you know more than what people on the island are going through. And yeah, just be proud of your history. We have so, so much to be proud of. It gives me strength every day knowing who my ancestors were, the feat that they accomplished, and what they built. So I hope that that gives other Haitians pride too, because we come from revolutionaries, which is something to be, in awe of.
Yeah, that's definitely true. That's definitely true. That's where we come from. our ancestors. That's definitely true. That's definitely true. And so what you being in the gun, I'm sorry, you being with the Gifford society, I don't want to say society, organization,
Mm-hmm.
and it's all part about the gun violence and educating people, support gun laws, to have people also in having background search before anybody can get a gun right now. So what would you and that's something that we also now have in Haiti. It's spreading as well as far as like gun violence in Haiti.
Definitely.
And so what do you think Haitian could do to in lieu of what's happening? What do you think Haitian could do to support in non-gun violence as well?
Yeah, I think just like personally, owning a gun can increase your risk of being the victim of violence. So, if possible, I know a lot of people have safety concerns and feel like they need firearms, but if possible, not owning a gun is a major step people can take to like increase their personal safety, as in addition to keeping guns like out of the hands of children. Um, I think also implementing laws, obviously laws that exist in the US might not apply perfectly to Haiti. There would have to be like implementation differences. But for example, in the US, laws exist where if an individual is convicted of domestic violence, they can have firearms taken from their home. Or if an individual is, a demonstrated risk to themselves or others, they can have firearms taken from their home, either temporarily or permanently. So that's one measure that could, save a lot of lives. But unfortunately, the gun violence, I feel like, also stems from like political conflict. So if people are still feeling like they need to wage violence in order to put food on their table or protect their family, there's a bigger issue there that needs to be addressed that even gun laws might not be able to solve, like within Haiti.
Yeah, that's definitely true. In Haiti, a lot of people are suffering and they think violence is going to be the solution. And violence is never the solution, unfortunately.
Right.
Yeah, fortunately, I should say, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, violence is never the solution, unfortunately for them. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And on that note, any last word before I conclude?
No, other than just like, thank you for the opportunity to be here, and what you're doing is really great. And I can't wait to see other people being uplifted by this work. So I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for being my guest. It's a pleasure to have you, Sarah. I almost called you Sabine. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to have you. And I can't wait to see where you will be in 10, 15, 20 years as an emerging leader, as part of one of the emerging leaders that I have the pleasure to speak with. I know you're going to do great. And I'm excited for you for Spain.
Thank you.
It's going to be a fun ride for you, as well as very it's going to be fun. The word that I'm looking for, it's not coming, so it's going to be fun for you, and it's going to be educative as well. So thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yes, and on that note, thank you so much for watching, and as always, peace for Haiti and love for Haiti.
Yes. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.